So
Yeah.
you don't just speak as a survivor, you
Mhm.
speak these days as a lawyer, as a specialist in human rights. Could
Mhm.
you describe a little bit about what you do, switching gears as a professional when it
Yeah.
comes to dealing with this problem that I believe it was Samantha Power said is the problem from hell?
Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
you as an adult in this country trying to get people to wake up and look at the effects of extremism?
Yeah. Yeah. I think every survivor that you speak to will tell you that in the aftermath of genocide, a lot of us struggled with how it is that we survived and why it is that we survived. There's something called survivor guilt, right? I used to say, why is it me? Why me? I had many siblings. The youngest of my siblings was just a few weeks old. My mother was killed with an infant and toddler, and most of my young siblings were, 2 years old, 4 year old, 6 year old. I would say, why me? Why did I survive? But at a certain point, most of us recognize that we have survived. You may say it was by miracle, God saved us, or it was pure luck, depends on who you ask. But having survived, what is our responsibility? What is our purpose? Having survived such atrocity. And for me personally, I came to the point where I said, having survived, I have a responsibility, one, to speak about what happened, because especially in the early years, in this country, I recognize that at that time, most Americans, students, my classmates, teachers, they did not know what had happened in Rwanda. Now there's since then there's been a growing level of awareness. But at that time, most people didn't know. And I felt that it was another form of injustice, that over 1 million people were murdered, including my family. And here it is that people are just going on as if nothing happened. So in honor of my family, I wanted to educate people about what happened. And for the second reason why I began speaking and sharing my story and doing the work that I do now is that, as I said, I believe that genocide is the worst crime that human beings can commit, because being murdered simply because of who you are, there's no worse crime than that. And knowing that it is a preventable genocide, I wanted to do my part to make sure that no other child will have to experience what I went through. It's been 30 years. I started speaking when I was 16, when I was a sophomore in high school. So I've been active in this work for over 20 years. And I have never stopped. It's not an easy work. It's emotionally draining. Every time I share my experience, I have to revisit the horrific images that I witnessed during the genocide. But again, I do it because it's a necessary work. And I think that, particularly right now, knowing all the things that are going on around the world, the hate motivated violence, literally in every continent, in Sudan, in Ukraine, in the Middle East, Israel, Gaza, even in this country, hate crimes. Hate crimes here in the US has been on a rise. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia is on alarming rise in this country. Like every day you go online or on your TV screen or on your phone screen and you're reading about, synagogues being painted with swastikas, or a Muslim woman being attacked because she's wearing a hijab and being called a terrorist. So even here in America, we are experiencing an alarming historical levels of hate and extremism. And in light of that, I feel that our work, the work that I've been doing, the work of genocide prevention education, is even more critical today than ever. That it is important that people, particularly young people, as the future leaders of this country and other countries, to understand the dangers of hate, the dangers of extremism. Because as I keep saying, genocide doesn't happen overnight. It arises from an extremist ideology, which believes that certain people, because of their race, their religion, their ethnicity, do not deserve to live, that they should be murdered. That's the ideology of genocide. So that the best way to prevent genocide is by fighting extremism and hate. And I feel that hate and extremism is something that even young people here in America who have not experienced genocide, they can relate to. Because again, every day we are hearing reports of hate crimes and hate-motivated violence. And I feel that educators, especially, are in the best position to really influence this work. Because like Nelson Mandela said, and I think you mentioned that at the beginning, that hate is not something no child is born. Mandela said that no child is born hating. Hate is something that is learned. He said that love comes naturally to human beings than hate, and that is true. You have never seen a baby coming out of their mother's womb saying, "I hate Black people," or "I hate Jewish people," or "I hate Muslim." They are learned. They are taught by their parents and the environment. So because hate is learned, coexistence can also be learned. It can be taught. And because of that, as I said, I feel like educators, teachers have a special role to play in genocide prevention education by exposing their students to books, to survivor testimonies, to service projects where they learn, again, to recognize the dangers of hate and extremism, and learn to recognize that human diversity, whether in race or gender or religion, is something that should be treated as an asset for any society. It's not something that should be used as a tool, as a divisive tool, which sometimes we see over and over again, leaders using diversity as a tool. So they would say, those people are this, these people are that. It's always us versus them. That this is the ideology of a genocide.